What's up, Trail fam? Coach coming at you on this beautiful Saturday morning. Mustard Seed and I are in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. We're getting ready to hit the Deep Creek Trail for a 14-mile hike back down to Bryson City. We are just south of Newfound Gap, and if you can see behind me, that little cloudy area way off in the distance is actually Bryson City, and that's where we're headed. Come along with us. Have a great one. Okay, so we're about 2 miles in on the trail here. Haven't filmed anything before now because basically the trail's been pretty much downhill pretty severely from the get-go. And we had numerous blowdowns that we had to go over and under. Some of them were a little hairy to get around. We've got down towards the bottom of the valley here, and we're kind of skirting along the edge of I believe it's actually Deep Creek. We've had some creeks come in from other sides and all as well too. Really beautiful. Down in here you're in the tree line, so out of the sun it's nice and cool. You can probably hear the water behind me. We're making okay time. It's not great, mainly because of the blowdowns and then some of the little creek crossings that we have to do. We're rock hopping and it's a little slick. Been a couple little muddy areas, but Mustard Seed is getting him a little something to drink there. I've done the same thing, just had a Cliff Bar, and we are getting ready to get on down the trail here. We're gonna try to get you some footage as we go down, and I said I think we've got about 10 miles to do today before we get to campsite 59, and then we will camp tonight and have a little less than 4 miles out in the morning. Short break, just enough to catch our breath, and I'll try to get some footage for you guys. See you down the trail.
Hey Trail fam, Mustard Seed here. We're about 4 miles in. We're here at campsite 53. Looks like we got about 6 more miles to go. We're following right beside Deep Creek. It's been a beautiful hike. Some down trees, but nothing we can't handle. We're going to campsite 59. Looks like we got about 6 more miles to go. So come along with us and we'll see you on down the trail.
This is the first real water crossing that we've come to. Most of them have been able to just step in and maybe get the bottom of your shoe or your boot wet. This is definitely about shin deep. That log that's right there, it is not stable at all. So Mustard Seed's gonna throw on his Crocs and try to come through. I stepped through with my trail runners on, and yeah, I got my left one a little wet. They're supposed to be waterproof, but it doesn't stop the water from coming in the top for sure.
That's mighty cold.
I love the emptying out of the water. What does Charlie Daniel say?
That's how you do it, son.
Trail is starting to get a little overgrown. We are still hoping for the next campsite. We're gonna stop and take lunch. I think it'll be campsite 54. But yeah, it's getting a little more difficult. A lot of bog down in here. We're kind of down following the creek right on the edge, and a lot of little branches are coming in, so it's getting boggy and it's definitely humid. You can look at the air and just kind of see it's steamy. So everything we got soaked right now, but hey, not many other places I'd rather be. Hey Trail Fam, long day today. We finally made it to camp. We've got the tent set up. I'll let you see here what we're looking like. We are set and ready to cook us a little dinner, and then it's not going to be long and we're going to be in the bed, because we'll give you the breakdown on this trail towards the end, but we have flat struggled for the 7 miles that we did today. Park Service got a little bit of work to do on this trail, but we'll go through all of that. We're right on the edge of Deep Creek. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. It is right down this trail right here. Quick as we got here, I eased down there and took my shoes off and put my feet in that ice cold water, and hope nobody's drawing water out of the river downstream from me. But we're gonna get our beds made up and go ahead and cook us a little dinner. I'm having chicken and rice tonight, and I believe Mustard Seed is having lasagna. Is that right, Mustard Seed? Mm-hmm. So in the morning, we're going to get up a little bit earlier than we planned for, because we've got a little bit farther than we thought to get out. Somewhere around 6 miles, maybe, something. We thought it was going to be about 4, but it looks like it's going to be about 6 miles to get out. We talked to some other hikers, and they said that it is pretty much downhill. Towards the end of the day, we ended up, the trail actually turned into a multi-use trail for horses. So a lot of the blowdowns and rough rock crawling that we had to do sort of went away. But by that time we were wore out and still had a couple miles to go to get to camp. I have never been so glad in all my life to see a campsite. But anyway, we have got our water set. Water bag is hung. We're going to eat a little bit. The bear cables are across the trail from us and a little ways away. So far, the animal count on the trail is 4 snakes. Mustard Seed does not know about the last one, because I saw it. He didn't get to see it. And 1 bear. We hope that we've got good video of the bear, but we did scare up a bear on the trail, and let's just say that it rose our adrenaline just a little bit. So I'll try to pop back on, do a video before we actually get in bed tonight, but as it stands right now, the time is about 7 o'clock and we are beat. So we hope you have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon. So the shock of thinking that you had chicken and rice for dinner, but you actually have beef stroganoff and noodles. But hey, right now I would eat just about anything. Good morning, Trail Fam. Coach coming at you. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. It's about 6:30 in the morning. Mustard Seed got me up at 5. He wants to hit the trail and be gone. So 6:30, and we're already broke down. We have had breakfast. We had a Southwestern Skillet Mountain House, and also we had some coffee using our GSI coffee filters, I guess as you'd call them. Incredible device. Coffee was great. By the time it filters through, even after you pour in the boiling water, it's ready to drink. So we are happy to have our coffee this morning. We've got about according to the GPS, we've got about 4 miles, maybe almost 5, but we're thinking about taking a little side trail that's going to cut off about a mile, called the Juniwank Trail. Let you know when we get there. It's got a cool waterfall on it from what I understand, and we may just take that detour to knock off about a mile and also to get some cool shots of the waterfall. So Campsite 59, Deep Creek Trail, we will do a breakdown of the trail and what our thoughts are once we get back to the truck. But we're ready to get out of here. Yesterday was a rough day. Last night we slept pretty good. Kind of hard to sleep when you're so sore, and one of those things where you're almost too tired to sleep. So we're ready to rock and roll, and we're going to hit the trail. See you down the trail. half-mile up from campsite 59 this morning. We've had a couple of pretty good little climbs up and down. Looks like we're going to go up here to about 2,400 feet, and we're going to sort of hug this ridge line that you see off in the distance there. Met some guys last night who said pretty much from here it's all downhill, but since we got up this morning and I told Mustard Seed the thing I did not want was climbs right out of the gate, and that's what we've had. He didn't listen again. So I don't know where those guys, maybe they meant it was downhill all the way for them to their campsite yesterday, but the topographical map says it is downhill, so I'm hoping we just got a few little climbs and then we're gonna start easing down and just hug the creek for a while. The trail that we're on is actually a multi-use. It's a horse trail as well, so we're sort of counting on no deadfalls, or if they are, they'll be low, and that the the trail will be pretty well beaten down. The only downside to using a multi-use trail like this is sometimes when you come to the boggy areas, the horses have kind of made it even a little bit worse. Love my horse people, but man, sometimes your horses do take a boggy area and just make it even more boggy. So anyway, we'll hit you on up the trail in a little bit. See you down the trail. Hey folks, Coach here. We are about a half a mile from the car or the truck, and this is what you're rewarded with when you get towards the end. If you're hiking southbound, you get a nice pressure run trail right along the river's edge where all the tubers are. A lot of people coming down through this, and it's very level. So easy hiking. See you in about half a mile. Hey folks, this is Coach and Mustard Seed coming at you again. We wanted to give you a quick breakdown of our hike of the Deep Creek Trail from Newfound Gap down to Bryson City. Okay, so we started off at just south of Newfound Gap, and it was about 12.8, right at 13 miles for the entire hike. On the first day, we did just a tick around 8 miles, and it took us a good part of the day. We started somewhere in the neighborhood of about, 10:30? Mm-hmm. And we didn't really finish up until right at about 6. Not great time, but one of the biggest things about this trail were the blowdowns. Tremendous amount of blowdowns on the trail, huge trees that you had to go over and under. And then when we finally got down towards the bottom and was hiking along the creek, it was a nice hike, but we did have to rock hop for a decent amount. And then there was one pretty bad section that we had that was on the creek itself. It looked like it had flooded at one point, and the trail had been rerouted because of tremendous blowdowns. Really a hairy section right along through there. We had to basically handhold on some trees in order to climb down to the old creek bed, rock hop over, and then climb up this huge rock to get over the top of it and over a tree that was on the top of that. So did get a little hairy. Mustard Seed, I'll let him tell you about his one little exciting moment that he had on day one, at least. You probably saw it in the video, but tell us a little bit about it, Mustard Seed.
I just stopped filming, taking a quick water break, and just as I had started back recording, rounded the corner and about 20 feet away, a little bear, black bear, ran out and ran across the trail on me.
Yeah, it was, it definitely got our adrenaline up a little bit then. And then as we got on into the day and we saw some other hikers and other campers and all, they said that they had an encounter with a different bear at a campsite that they were at.
So we made it to campsite 59 at about 6 o'clock, I would say. And it's a very nice site, very clean site. It's fairly flat. It's pretty open. There's actually 3 different parts to it. There's one part across the trail where the bear cables are at, where you could actually string up your bear bag. And then the camp itself is separated into 2 parts. There's a main part with a fire ring where we stayed, that was relatively flat. And then just behind some brush, there's another little open area where some other folks stayed at. Right on the creek, I'm talking less than 15 feet from the creek, where we could fill up our water bottles and use it to cook and all. And so it was a very nice spot. Would highly recommend it.
The one kind of, I guess, maybe downside to campsite 59 is if you're going to hike out the next morning, you pretty much start off immediately with a pretty severe climb. We rounded a couple of turns, and there were actually some nice boardwalk bridges that had been made, and we crossed those. And I was thinking to myself, this is going to be pretty good. We should be all pretty much downhill to back to Deep Creek Campground. And I was wrong. Probably the most severe climbs of the entire hike were between campsite 59 and the main Crusher Run trail that's right there close to Deep Creek. There were, maybe 2 climbs that we did?
Yeah, 2 significant climbs.
Yeah, on the way out on Sunday morning after we camped. And the first one was a decent climb. It definitely got heart rate up right out of the campground, or right out of the campsite. And then the second one, it was a kind of a funky climb. We started climbing in one direction, and then it sort of circled around this little ridge line, or around this corner of a mountain, and kept going up and up and up. The thing about these climbs is once and pretty much it was this way on the whole trail, once you got to the top of the climb, there wasn't a break before you immediately started back down. There wasn't really any level hiking on the top. Now we did get some on the bottom, and on day 1 and actually on day 2 there was a lot of level hiking. at the bottom down near the creek. And in a lot of cases, in most cases, when you were level hiking like that, you were pretty much on the creek and you were crossing the little branches and little sub creeks that were coming in. So it was wet hiking down there. Most of your marshy areas were down there too, and we did have quite a few marshy areas that we had to cross through. So, you know, not a bad hike as far as your down areas and your level areas. The marshy places were kind of stinky and muddy. The horses, when it became a multi-use trail, kept them really stirred up and muddy, and you'd had to kind of, you know, ease to the side to get around just the deep mud. Most of the little branch and creek crossings we were able to rock hop, or the water was just so shallow coming off of those side creeks that you didn't really get anything but just the bottom of your shoes wet. The second day out, once we finished those two pretty significant climbs and then came down around, I think it was campsite 60.
Yes.
We had one climb out of campsite 60 and then a pretty significant down back, and that's when we came up on the Deep Creek Trail actually turned into a more multi-use trail where bike riders could ride on it. So once you got to where it became a bike ride trail, it was very level and it was very packed down, and you know, became a good trail. I think for probably about 3 miles, maybe 2.5 miles, all the way back to the parking area. So very, very gentle hike. Once we got down past campsite 60, I would say the last 2 miles we were pretty much hiking with the people that were staying in the campgrounds right there at Deep Creek and just doing the little short hikes, you know, or fitness hikers as I call them. And then your people that were inner tubing Deep Creek were coming up that way too. So it wasn't crowded by any means, but I wouldn't say that we hiked any distance that we could not see someone in front of us, or that we didn't actually have someone behind us. You know, maybe 100 yards in front, 200 yards behind, something like that. The whole way you're skirting the edge of Deep Creek, and so it's cool. It's very nice hiking at that point. You know, might as well say you were sidewalk hiking almost, because it was basically just a road bed is what it was. So once we got back to Deep Creek Campground, the parking lot was full. There were a lot of people down there. You know, we arrived in there probably about 10 in the morning, something like that. And it was really beginning to crank up for the inner tubers and people like that along that, you know, for that day. So overall, coming out, not too bad. Got the heart racing a good bit. I think, you know, checking my fitness watch or Fitbit and looking at it, heart rate got way up there on a few of the climbs. It was interesting because you could really look at when we were climbing based on looking at the heart rate, you know, schematic and all. So, you know, neat climb out.
So overall with this trail, I do believe it's a little misleading online. The things we read leading up to the hike talked about, you know, how easy it was going to be, and it was not that way, mainly due to the fact of all the blowdowns and the trail getting kind of rerouted because of a flood and rock hopping and, you know, pretty significant climbs. It wasn't a walk in the park like online said it was, but overall I think it was a really good hike. It was a really fun hike. Probably give it 3 out of 5 stars if I were to rate it, just for the fact of that it does need trail maintenance right now. I'm not sure if there are plans in the making to get that done anytime soon, but the weeds were kind of overgrowing, and this is all on parts where the horses and all were not at. It's overgrown, and there was a lot of blowdowns. Where the horses and the multi-use trail kind of kicks in, it was a fairly beat down trail, and you know, you could really get to cooking on it. Yeah, overall, I mean, I think it was a pretty good hike, pretty strenuous hike. Definitely, you know, it could be done in a day if you're not toting a whole lot, but it was a good overnight hike, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the biggest part of day one, which was pretty much from Newfound Gap headed down, which is probably how I would hike this hike, and I would if I was going to do it again, I would hike it the same way that I did, starting at the top up near Newfound Gap and hiking it down to Bryson City. Mainly because of right at Newfound Gap, when you started, I mean, we descended severely down into the valley. And I mean, for probably the first couple of miles, we were going down, down, down. And that's something that I probably would not want at the end of my hike. I liked my hike ending the way that it did, with just 2 miles of very level, easy hiking back towards the truck. And it kind of allowed you to sort of, I guess, decompress from the effort that you'd put in. Day one was definitely challenging. It, because of the blowdowns and because of how overgrown. There were some areas that we were beginning to think that, we could possibly lose the trail. I wouldn't say that you're in danger of really losing it, but it got overgrown enough that it began to get in our minds that, hey, what if we lose the trail here? So, fortunately, you could really tell and see where it was going. Of course, the bear, that added some excitement to it, as well as 4 snakes, I think, is what we found along the way. Nothing poisonous. They were off to the side. It is on the North Carolina side of the Smoky Mountains, which the North Carolina side is more known for snakes than the Tennessee side, from what I understand about that area. But yeah, I agree. 3 out of 5 for me. I will say that that coming out that last mile was struggling. I was struggling. I was getting passed by some people that were a lot older than me that were out fitness hiking for the day, but we had Mustard Seed and I had definitely struggled on Saturday, and then coming out Sunday morning. So at the end there, we were both ready to get back and get our get our showers and get cleaned up and decompress from the trail. But a great time. The campsite was phenomenal. I mean, we couldn't have picked a better one, and even had some other campers and other hikers that were up there that said, "Oh, so you're the ones that got campsite 59." So that tells me that it's one that's well chosen. Another one that we saw along the way that I would really recommend if you want to do a short in and out would be campsite 60. Right. 60's right on the river or the creek is very accessible. You would have one climb in from the Deep Creek campground, and the next morning you'd have one climb out, and very, very easy hiking. That would be a great one to take kids on if you wanted to do something like that. 59 would be another one. It's going to test you a little bit more because you got a couple more climbs past 60. We never thought we would get to 60 on Sunday morning. As a matter of fact, we had a discussion as we were hiking that we possibly had passed campsite 60 and didn't even know it. But we finally did come to it, and there was a nice family that was staying there as we ventured through, and then they passed us really fast on the way out. So, but yeah, a great hike. I'd be glad to move on to a different hike. We've done it, and I'd definitely do it again. But the next time I would love to know that maybe the Ridge Runners had made their way in and had cleared some of the brush out. So, anything else, Mustard Seed? Well, we hope you enjoyed coming along with us on this hike. We will get ready for our next one. If anyone has any suggestions for the Southeast, particularly around Georgia, for us, or a hike that you would love to see us do, please hit it in the comments below. If it's the first time you've tuned in to us, please subscribe and please like what you see if you do indeed like it. And, our information's there. Hit us up an email. Maybe we'll see you down the trail.